Okay, so let's continue on with some Pokemon videos. And even though the list is not done yet, this is a difficult list, I'm finding out. There is something else that was requested that's very interesting. If Bill lived in the Pokemon universe, what would his team be? Let's talk about that. Now, this is going to be an interesting idea. And I'm going to lay a couple ground rules. First off, that there is Bill. That guy. So that's Bill if he lived in the Pokemon universe. Now, this is the same Bill that started his journey all those years ago and picked up a Bulbasaur. Okay? So that's how this storyline is progressing. That's how he moved through the regions and so on and so forth. And the idea here is that if I could compose a team out of all the generations that have come, what team would I pick? Now, we're encompassing ideas from the anime and encompassing ideas from the game. So this team will get interesting and will have specific reasons for being on this list. Every single one of these guys is somebody that I could have legitimately obtained. That means there's no place here for a Mewtwo. That's not possible. I'm not the greatest trainer in the world. I could not have went out and caught the legends of all Pokemon. These are all Pokemon that make sense, that I could have achieved, that I could have been an NPC, a strong NPC that you could have met out there in the world like any other person that exists in the Pokemon universe. Every single one of these Pokemon is easily obtainable, and there would be a logical explanation for why said person would have those Pokemon. These are the 6 Pokemon, if Bill existed in a Pokemon game and you ran into him, this is what you would encounter. Starting off the list is very simple. Typhlosion. Why? Come on, guys. Cyndaquil is like my all-time favorite Pokemon. It makes perfect sense, and it's very simple to obtain this Pokemon. The only thing Bill would have to do is travel to the Johto region and meet up with the professor. That's it. This is the same Bill that already met Oak all this time ago, that was already vouched for by Oak all that time ago, who was given a Bulbasaur all that time ago. And this person, this character, me, would easily be able to travel to Johto, talk to an associate of Professor Oak's who gives out starter Pokemon for the region, and I would be entrusted with a Cyndaquil. There's no reason that can't happen. And why? What's his purpose on my team? To be the fire guy, and because, come on guys, he's my favorite frickin' Pokemon. So of course, if we have one partner Pokemon, if we have one person, one perfect starter that we would start with every time, it turns out being Cyndaquil for me. So of course, whether he's the greatest person or the worst person, don't care about competitive play or stats or anything of the sort, this is something that would travel with me all the time. It would be a signature of who I am because it is my favorite. So, of course, Typhlosion. Name? Firaback. Why? Because it's a trope from Final Fantasy, such as fire or, Fira, Firaga. That idea. It's a little bit of a throwback to Final Fantasy, the RPG that really got me into RPGs, that really got me started in this and made it a big deal. Technically, I started with Dragon Quest, but Final Fantasy put the nail in the coffin and got me playing RPGs forever. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for Final Fantasy, I wouldn't have been into RPGs. I would have never played Pokemon. So I like to add a little bit of Final Fantasy flair to the Fire Guy names as kind of a trope that I follow. And Firaback, that's where that name comes from. All right. The second guy on my team makes perfect sense. It would start as an Eevee, Jolteon. This is very simple, very easy. There's Eevees out there. There's no reason I wouldn't be able to catch one or receive one. Hell, Red just found one on a table and took it. There was really nothing stopping him. He just walked up, it was on the table, he took it, and he was like, oh shit, an Eevee, look at that, whatever. And then the professors are known to just give them out, and they wander the regions, all over the different regions. There's no reason I couldn't get an Eevee, and an Eevee is a spectacular Pokemon because it fills out weaknesses on your team. And for me, I would turn mine into a Jolteon. One, I think Jolteon is the coolest of the evolutions. And two, I feel like it has become a customary thing for me to always have an electric person on the team. When I make teams, there is always an electric slot. So, Jolteon makes sense. And with his ability to pull electricity to himself and heal himself, that's a brilliant Pokemon for me, because I can easily ensnare you with a bird or a water guy that you want to take out. I can pull him back. I know you're going for that heavy thunder. I put him in. As soon as he goes in, you do that thunder, you heal me, I'm in the game. And then pin needle or whatever I need to do to rock you out. Look, I love him. He is my favorite evolution. 100%. Name? Evectric. It's an idea on electric, and Eevee, it's simple. I like it. It's the name that I've been using literally since Red and Blue when I first got an Eevee, and I'd already knew that you could turn them into one thing or another, and I was holding on to that. I was holding on to that lightning, that freaking electric stone. That's the reason I came up with the name. I just took Eevee and I added to the end of it, Evectric is the name I've used for years. That's its name. There, he's on the team. Now, in modern day Pokemon, it is very easy to say that you don't need a bird, and you don't. It's a relic of team building that exists from the original designs, where you put a bird on the team because eventually you know that you have to have one. You have to be able to fly. It's a customary thing in Pokemon. Nowadays, if we're looking at the anime, we're looking at the game, this is no longer true because you have the taxi service. That's fine. I get that. But for me, as an old school, as a person that wants to live in the Pokemon world, especially with a question like this on team building, if I'm going to build a team to exist in the Pokemon universe, am I going to take the Sky Cab, or am I going to soar through the air like a badass on a gigantic frickin' legend bird? I mean, really? Who wouldn't? That's one of the biggest reasons to even be a part of the Pokemon universe, right? And there's a real simple, everyday bird that you can catch right at the beginning of Sinnoh. Staraptor, in my opinion, is the greatest bird, normal bird, that has ever been added to Pokemon. I think he looks cool. I think that he blows apart the competition. I think he has an excellent move pool. I think that he's more than big enough and intimidating enough to be whatever you need him to be. He is awesome. Staraptor is one of the coolest birds, especially of normal typing, to have ever been put in this game. I think he passes every other normal bird that has ever been added. And he's real simple to get. There's no reason I couldn't literally just travel to Sinnoh and just bop, I've got him. That's it. I've got him. It was a regular Pokeball. Most of the time, you don't even have to weaken the guy. You start the fight, you throw it, you got him. And because of the way Pokeballs and everything run in the newest versions, I could literally go out there with a Quick Ball or an Ultra Ball or a literal ball made to catch birds and just throw it one time. Beep, I've got him. So there's no reason I wouldn't be able to get this. And Staraptor, that's for me. That's for me. That is my favorite bird that has ever been put in a single one of these games. And if I'm not mistaken, it would make me a pretty difficult combatant as well, because I think Staraptor, in terms of the normal birds, I think he's awfully high in competitive play. Like, he may be the very highest point, normal bird-wise, of competitive play. So that gives me a hell of an edge as well if you come across me. Name, Starwinger. Why? Because I was a kid, and that's what I named it. And if I've named something throughout the years, I keep the name. Starwinger is my Staraptor, and that's the bird that I majestically soar through the sky on. Next, you already knew that I had this guy because I already mentioned it. I already told you where my journey began. Venusaur. Because, of course, it would be a Venusaur by now. And just like I said, if I started in the Kanto region, I more than likely saw Professor Oak, and Professor Oak handed me a Pokemon, one of three. The one of the three that I picked was Venusaur, Bulbasaur, of course, and that later becomes Venusaur, and its name, Cedar, because this is the same me that started that journey all those years ago. Makes perfect sense to me. Why is he on the team? Because he's my starter. He was exactly how I started the game. So in conception, in putting this question into focus, when I received it, when I was told to build a Pokemon team to live in that universe, my first idea was, okay, if I'm going to live in that universe, I'm just going to go ahead and be me from all those years ago and grow up in that universe, and then have access to everything, and that explains where I start, and I don't have to overthink the process. This was me. What was my first Pokemon? It was Bulbasaur. There's Venusaur. Of course, I'm not putting him in the box. He's been my trusted helper, stat crazy guy since the very beginning. That's why he's here. Makes perfect sense. I don't have to dig any further into that. He was my starter. There you go. Next, I'm going to go Lucario. Lucario, and there's a reason, I like to have a fighter on my team. I have practiced fighting. I understand it pretty damn well. I have taken hits. I have lost fights. I have won fights. I tend to have an admiration for those people that fight competitively, because I don't. I study it, I practice it, I learn different things. I'm really into things like boxing and whatnot. But in terms of like jumping in, especially where I am right now at 36 years old, it's not my greatest adventure right now to go and get my ass beat. It's not. But I still give a decent amount of practice, and I like to learn holds and locks and things like that and how to make these things work. And so I have a bit of a fighter's mind, and I always have ever since I was little. I got into boxing at a very young age because of my grandfather, and then I even took up boxing in an actual boxing club when I was about, I believe I was 18, 19 years old, because I remember I stopped at about 22. I was asked to stop. That's actually the reason I stopped. I had a girlfriend. She asked me to stop boxing, and I did. It was nothing here nor there. It was, please don't get in the ring anymore. And I didn't. I kept up with practice, but that's another thing that I love about fighting in general. Boxing, sport-wise fighting, is boxing can be as complicated or as in-depth as you want it to be. You can learn to shadow box. You can learn the benefits of getting your physical abilities better. You can learn to protect yourself. But you never need to go any further than you want to go. If you want to go to the gym and you want to hit the bag and you want to get in shape and you want to learn some technique, that's fine. You don't have to take that into the sparring ring, and you don't have to take that professional. You can go as far as you want to go. So there's an idea to having control of that system that I've always liked, and bettering yourself through these practices, but only going as far as you need or want to go. It's made me admire people that take it to those extremes and move into the fighting circuits and go for everything they can be, everything they can get, everything they can do. These men are warriors. These women are warriors. They're out there and they're proving themselves through the literal art of the use of the human body. Fighting intrigues the hell out of me. So, in Pokemon, due to my personality, I always have a fighter on the team. And the one that has caught my attention over every single fighter in the history of Pokemon, until very recently, mind you, has been Lucario. I named him Arts back when I got him. I love him. He's so frickin' cool, and I made a habit out of using him around Black and White 2. That is when I really started giving a lot of attention to Lucario. Now, this guy's spot is the only one questionable on my team, as there is a new fighter, 2 of them, that has caught my attention like crazy. So keep in mind, this is the only questionable spot on my team. I know there's a fighter on my roster. And as of today, it is Lucario. But Urshifu, that new Pokemon that you got in the Isle of Armor, the water fighting type, is magnificent. He is so frickin' cool, and as of yet has not let me down even once. The other character that's a close takeoff, and I know people are thinking that it's Hitmonlee because Bill likes Bruce Lee. It's not. And I know people are saying, well, Bill's a boxer, it's Hitmonchan. No, it's not. Pangoro is the other fighting type that has a heavy chance of stealing this spot. This is the most complicated spot on my team. And it's difficult for me to guarantee who gets this spot. But as of now, finishing this list, it's Lucario. The other 2 possibilities is Pangoro or the new Urshifu. And oh my God, that guy. He's so freaking cool. So maybe this question depends on region, because if you take me to a new region, especially like the most modern region, the Isle of Armor, and I got a chance for not mega evolutions, because we're not playing the mega era right now. Right now, if I was in present, we would be playing in the Gigantamax area of fights. So maybe, just maybe, it becomes Urshifu. And maybe, if we're back a little further than that and we're in the Mega Evolution era, it's Lucario. So you get where I'm going with this. This is complicated. And if there's no Megas or no Gigantamaxes allowed, this might be Pangoro. This is the hardest person to place on my team. Now let's talk about the last and most unique, questionable guy on my team. Okay, the last one is questionable. I believe this is very possible. It would be up to debate, however. Gyarados, shiny. Why? First off, Gyarados has been a strange staple of my team since I accidentally bought that fish in red and blue, and then was so mad that I'd spent the 500 on it that I refused to take it off my team, and I ran with that damn fish through cave and route, constantly putting it at the front of my team and swapping and swapping and swapping, until all of a sudden it became a Gyarados. And I remember when that happened. And I hadn't seen the show yet. I didn't know that was a thing, and a couple of my friends didn't know that was a thing, and I was so excited when that thing happened, when it became a Gyarados, that I swapped its name. I named it Fear, and I put it at the back of my team, and I trained that sucker up. It was the first guy I ever trained to 100, and I remember in a Pokemon battle, I would be having a battle with somebody, and if they brought me down to my last guy, I would say, that was it. Now you will know fear. And I would throw that out, and that was like, I was young, and I thought that was just a really cool thing. And it actually stuck in the group even today. The people that have fought me remember back then when I was like, they would get me down to my last guy, and they were like, I got him. And I'd be like, all right, that's it. Now you will know fear. And I'd throw that thing out, and they were like, oh, shit, it's a Gyarados. And by that time, of course, I'm level 100. People have already seen Gyarados. They already know that it's the Magikarp. But I discovered that, and it made me so proud that I put up with that crappy Pokemon long enough to get what I got out of it. And it really showed me a learning thing in the beginning of these games to not discount a single Pokemon, because even some of these guys that start out the worst they can possibly ever be may end up surprising you as to just how broken and versatile and powerful they can be, and how much of a staple on your team they can become if you just work at it. Gyarados. Now, you know his name, my reasoning. If I was to go to Johto and go to the Lake of Rage, they were using that radio signal to force Gyarados to evolve. And this was causing shinies. Because everybody that goes to the Lake of Rage just gets a red Gyarados. They just go there and they get it. And if that's an actual thing, then why would it not be impossible to say that even today, years later, there's a high probability that if you were to fish in the Lake of Rage, maybe there are some shiny Magikarp that didn't evolve because you stopped the process. You shut that down. You went and you caught that red one. Well, of course, that wasn't Bill, because Bill started all the way back with this Bulbasaur all those years ago. But there's no reason that I couldn't have went to the Lake of Rage, thrown the line in, and when I fished it up, all of a sudden, I got a shiny Magikarp and was like, oh my gosh, that's craziness. Well, I feel like there's a possibility that this is possible in the context of this universe, is that the machine that they were using, the signal they were sending out that was forcing the Gyarados to evolve, was also forcing the shiny phenomenon. And if that's possible, then I just got this feeling like there's shiny Magikarp in there, and that would be the best area to fish. I don't believe that it's beyond reason that Bill could have something rare and interesting on his team that stands him out above normal NPCs. So that's my team. That's my team, and under everything that I've laid out, I believe the team is completely reasonable. There's no reason I couldn't have obtained this team. This is the team that Bill would have if you encountered him as an NPC, as another trainer somewhere in the Pokemon world. Hardest one to place was Lucario. And I'm still falling back and forth on that one. But so far, that's what it is. That's where he is. That's where he's staying. Okay, guys, that was it. That was the list. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was worthwhile. And this is really just a cool little time filler as we make our way towards the big list. So, hey, I'm going to get out of here. I have spoken. Take what you will from it.